That being said, the Saturday hiring in and of itself is absurd. And like, I do and I don't feel bad for Saturday in the sense like Saturday should have had the self-awareness to know that if he accepted this opportunity that people would be extremely confused because he has no head coaching experience or coaching experience at all outside of high school. He's never coached.
Let's not get carried away. He does have coaching experience. I looked it up because I wanted to know specifically how good
in high school.
No, he coached at Hebron Christian Academy, which is a famous school in Georgia. Famous. They steamroll the competition every year. He's coached for 3 years there and has just an impressive history, a shelf full of trophies from his time at Hebron Christian Academy. In total, his teams went 20-16, which obviously makes him qualified to coach an NFL team. I would say that if there was one area of, anything where a coaching position probably really truly does matter, it's probably in the high school ranks where you have a tremendous impact on growth of players. And to go 20-16 is just not overly inspiring. Like if my son or daughter was a football prodigy and I'm trying to figure out where I want my son or daughter to play football, I would be willing to move to the place where the Hall of Fame center is coaching, and this guy still won 20-16 in 3 years. Like, how does that even happen? It just doesn't even make sense. Like, of all the things.
Jeff Day of the Week is it's just like, I mean, look, Jeff
hold on. Why we should nickname him something worse than Saturday, like Monday. He should be Jeff Monday because this is going to be awful.
Well, this is what I said, right? It's like very ironic. What day does high school football play in the United States?
I'm assuming on Friday. I don't know.
Yeah, they play on Fridays. Yeah, you watch Friday Night Lights, right?
No, I didn't because I don't really watch TV.
Okay, well, they play on Fridays. And then what day of the week does NFL football usually get played?
Sunday.
Right. So why is college the only thing that he hasn't coached? Like, his name is Jeff Saturday. He's only coaching versions of football that take place on Fridays and Sundays.
He rests on Saturday. It's a day of rest for Jeff Saturday.
Clearly, that's the issue. No, so the Jeff Saturday, I mean, let's be honest, I have no fucking clue if he's going to be a good coach or not. I would expect he's probably not because he's never even coached. Like, I mean, it was so funny. They were like, we tried to get him to come and be the offensive line coach a couple of years ago, which like is a thing that makes sense because he was an offensive lineman, and that's generally how you would start your coaching career. Like Kevin Maway, who is a might be Maway. I'm not even 100% sure. Hall of Fame offensive lineman, longtime offensive lineman. He's currently an assistant offensive line coach. Right, that is the type of role that even extremely high-profile, incredible football players get. They start off as something like an assistant offensive line coach, right?
Like, isn't Reggie Wayne?
Right. I was going to get to Cato. There are other members of the 2006 Super Bowl team on the coaching staff. Cato June, who is their was their outside linebacker on that team. He is currently their assistant linebackers coach. Reggie Wayne is their wide receivers coach. Jeff Saturday is not a coach at any level. This was like Jim Irsay just like hiring his buddy, which, like, if you're the owner, like, I guess you have the right to do. But what was so absurd about it is like just how transparently it was like Irsay's call. Like, they have this whole press conference with him and Ballard in unison, and Ballard has to fake it like he's so in favor of this. I mean, I guarantee you, if we get Chris Ballard on Truth Serum and they're like, did you want Jeff Saturday as your coach? He's like, obviously not, dude. Like, I don't want this goof. And I mean, the other issue is, of course, to me, it's just such a waste of an opportunity in the sense that, like, unlike a lot of people, like, I didn't want them to actually promote Gus Bradley or John Fox. Like, to me, who cares, right? It's an interim coach. They should be cleaning house. I actually think that's like serves no purpose to give 67-year-old John Fox another 8 games to coach in the NFL in the middle of a listless season. Like, what? Like, who cares, right? Like, John Fox is probably never going to be head coach again. Like, what are we really getting out of that? I would have given it to any number of the assistants that they like whoever they like on their staff, who potentially has head coaching aspirations one day, that gets to have 8 games of invaluable experience to be able to put on their resume. I mean, in particular, the stark difference in terms of the qualifications that African-American candidates have needed to put forth to be able to get head coaching vacancies versus non-minority candidates. And they have Ron Miles on staff. They have Cato June on staff. They have Reggie Wayne on staff. They have several other coaches, Ron Miles being the most veteran African-American coach on staff. I would take the opportunity to help give those extremely valuable 8 games of coaching experience to one of those coaches. If not them, Bubba Ventrone, Scott Milanovich, any one of their other up-and-coming assistants, I think would be invaluable experience for. To me, if you're going outside the organization to a Jeff Saturday, the only way that this makes any form of sense where you're doing that is if you're saying, like, actually, I don't think this should be the interim coach. And the press conference was very much that vibe. I mean, on one hand, he was saying out of one side of his mouth, we're going to follow the Rooney Rule to a T. We're going to do a full search after the other season. On the other hand, it was all about what an incredible hire Jeff Saturday was. We're so excited behind Jeff. He's going to be the guy. We hope it's more than 8 games. I mean, I think in Irsay's mind, this is the guy. I think that he thinks they found the guy. I hope that it's such a disaster that he reverses course on this. At the same time, he guaranteed that Chris Ballard would be in place, right? And to me, what this reads of is like Irsay is going to hire his buddy to be coach, and he's going to keep on the GM who knows he's on his last legs, that he has to agree to everything because Irsay has decided like he actually just wants to run the team. Like he no longer wants to put on anybody who has any remaining equity left to actually make decisions over the Colts. He wants to make the decisions over the Colts. I mean, is that your read on it? Like, this is just him deciding, like, I'm going to be as hands-on as humanly possible as the owner of the team?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think one of the interesting things that I've never really spent a lot of time thinking about, because it's not really, I don't know what the word is, relevant to me a lot of the times, is this, like, theory I get. Not theory. Theory is not the right word, but, like...
There's a theory you get when you look to the West?
Well, like the whole thing about firing a coach in the middle of the season. Like, why did we fire the coach in the middle of the season? What are we trying to do here? Are we trying to change the culture of the team? Well, then we probably should have hired the guy that we think is the long-term answer. And if that's Jeff Saturday, then I think they should reevaluate how they came to that conclusion. And if that's not Jeff Saturday, then why didn't they hire somebody that they wanted to groom into a more prominent role, a future offensive coordinator, right, or whatever, like something that's already in place that can be part of the solution long-term. Like, I don't know. Jeff Saturday is just such an out there hire that just feels like such a tremendous risk to like the credibility of the organization.
Right. It's embarrassing.
Like, you're just setting yourself up to be a laughingstock in national media, not just in Indianapolis. This is national media type.
I mean, like
hilarity.
Like Mike Garafolo, who, like, right when we're talking about Schefter and Ian Rappaport and stuff, like these guys and Mike Garafolo and Tom Pelissero and like all of these national insiders, right? Like all of these guys, they tweet out the most like vanilla takes all the time, right? Because they're never going to show up a person who's in a position of authority because they rely on these people as sources. They rely on good relationships with organizations. So like they always frame everything in either like a very neutral light or a positive light, like almost to a laughable extent sometimes. I mean, here's the string of tweets from Mike Garafolo yesterday. He says, Irsay's rolling now. We don't build rockets to go to Mars. It's a very simple job we do. Irsay says he's glad Saturday doesn't have NFL coaching experience because those guys have fear and often lean on analytics. He doesn't have that fear. We'll get back to that quote. Then he says, next thread, we had the conversation and it escalated quickly. Jeff Saturday, but more like Ron Burgundy. He then says, Chris Ballard says that they've hired or tried to hire Jeff Saturday twice before as an all-line coach, which of course would be something that would make sense. This next tweet, Irsay now saying Michael Jordan missed many shots, which might be some kind of Michael Scott, Wayne Gretzky motivational thing. I'm not sure. Then Irsay on passing over his entire coaching staff for Saturday. Because he's a better fit, he's the best man for the job. There's no question about it in my mind, and I've been around a long time. Compares it to hiring Bruce Arians. A note on that, Arians at the time had been a head coach in college and the NFL, and had almost 40 years of coaching experience between college and the NFL. Saturday has, well, none of that. all right, that was fun and crazy. Gonna go watch football. I mean, this is like a national reporter who relies on sources, like actively making fun of the owner and NFL team. Like that's an embarrassing look. Like just shooting shots. It's bad. It's not going to help them land a real established coach. But I think that that's not Jim Irsay's aim. Like, I don't think that he cares about hiring someone with gravitas. I think he wants to hire people that no longer have the gravitas to do anything that he doesn't want to do, which is very bad, because the last thing that any professional sports team wants is an owner who knows nothing about running a football organization, making all the decisions for their football organization and dictating who to draft and who to trade for and who to start. And that's bad. You don't want your owner doing that. So it's bad. Do have to touch on the analytics quote, because I mean, that's kind of what we do here. An incredible quote. I mean, he says, it says experience. No, we don't want anybody with experience, because if you have experience, you have fear. And if you have fear, then you'll lean into the analytics, right? On one hand, we have people with experience. And on the other hand, we have people who will listen to analytics. And that's the trade-off, right? You can either have people who make informed decision-making with numbers, or you can have people who have no idea what they're doing and have never done it. The threat of making informed decisions with numbers is so high that we're willing to forego qualifications entirely just to avoid the possibility that someone might use numbers. That's a take.
Yeah, I as soon as that quote came out, I thought, maybe I might have this backwards, but I think of this tweet from Cooper FB, or Coops FB, at Coops FB. His name's Cooper Adams. He's probably one of the smartest analysts on football. Yeah, and he says, and I quote, this is a direct quote from Cooper: "The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing football guys that punting was high T. Punting is playing scared, and analytics does not say to punt." So, like, this whole premise of Jim Irsay saying that, you know, these coaches are too afraid, so they play by the analytics, is just mind-boggling to me. I don't even understand what decision-making was happening behind closed doors that led him to believe that they were playing it safe by going with analytics. When
it's like a paradox.
Decision-making is the complete opposite.
It's a complete paradox in that respect. It's also just like wrong. Like, because, so think about like an NFL broadcast, right? Like, think about when Brandon Staley and John Harbaugh were going for these fourth downs and getting absolutely skewered. I mean, every time you get the CBS, NFL Network, whatever post-game show it is, like, how often is it a bunch of people like us being like, this coach punted and he's a total coward and he should have gone for this and he should have gone for that? Never. It's like always a bunch of football guys being like, these guys and their analytics and their rock and roll, these kids these days, everybody's going for it on fourth down. How about this? How about you trust your defense? Whatever happened to you, trust your defense, play field position, run the ball. Like, that's all you ever hear on any of these shows. How about this? I got a question for the analytics. A rhetorical question, because it's asked entirely in bad faith. I got a question for the analytics. Do you keep track of the weather? Can your models account for how good your team is? Can your models account for how your O-line is playing? Can your models account for how the defense is going to feel? That's what's on TV. Like, Brandon Staley went from the most aggressive coach in the NFL last year to he has now not attempted a single fourth down in which the win probability, expected win probability from doing so has exceeded 1%. He's gone from one of the most aggressive coaches in the NFL to one of the most conservative coaches in the NFL. That's the fear. Like, coaches, when they lose acceptably, which is by punting mostly and kicking field goals and running the ball enough, no one discusses it. No one pays any mind to it. When the Packers were running the ball down 17 points incessantly on the Bills, they were lauded for it. They were lauded for it on the broadcast. When a team abandons the run, when something's not working, it's criticized. The acceptable way to lose in the NFL is to lose conservatively, is to lose without trusting the analytics. And so the idea that anyone would be too fearful but to bow down to the nerd overlords on Twitter is like a complete imagined grievance, right? It doesn't actually, it's not rooted in anything. It's just someone's imagined grievance. It's just looking for something to blame that isn't yourself or the person in Chris Ballard who you've decided that you've trusted, we have to blame the analytics, right? Like, has analytics just lost all meaning? Is it just like some boogeyman in NFL circles that nobody even knows what it is or what it means or what it says? It's just any time that there's a grievance for something on the product of the football field that they don't like, that they don't find aesthetically pleasing, that causes cognitive dissonance, their team losing, anything, it's just like, it must be the analytics. It must be the analytics. Like, one of our patrons was like, "Are the analytics in the room with you now, Jim?" I died.
I think one of the things that just drives me crazy, if I were ever to watch football, which I don't, but if I were to say, like, walking past a electronics store and they had football on the TV and they're showing off the speaker so you could hear it, and then I hear one of the announcers say, "Oh, they're going to do the analytics play where they're down by 10 and they go for the extra 2 now." And I'm like, stop calling it the freaking analytics play. Just call it the right decision. They're going to make the right decision and go for 2. Stop labeling it analytics. It's so weird. Like, what do you say when they don't make the analytics play? They're like, "Oh, they're going to make the football play here and kick the extra point." Like, what a dumb thing to say. Nobody would ever say that. Stop like creating this divide between analytics and anything else. Just say, "Hey, they're going to make the play. That's probably the right play to make because here's why." You don't need to define it as an analytics play. Like, Jesus. Anyways.
It's always good. Oh, man. Okay, I think we've talked the Colts to death. It's sad.
We've talked the Colts.
I mean...